Welcome back to Life with a Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli. And no matter what stage you are in your journey with someone with a disability, you might get pointed to different directions, whether you need legal help, whether you need medical transitions, maybe you need education advocacy. Well, I just found an organization that's fairly new here in the Atlanta area, and I think you would love to know all about them, which is why I brought the founder and CEO on, Dr. Angela Mixon. Hi, Dr. Angela. How you doing?
Hi, Gina. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much for being on the show. Dr. Angela, you started Auturity because you said you were seeing gaps in the world of autism. What kind of gaps were you seeing?
Well, I actually have a son. He's 21 years old now, and we've been on this autism journey for a long time. When he was diagnosed almost 20 years ago, wasn't a whole lot of information out there. So I became an advocate then. And now that he's reaching, the age where they age out, age 22, I see a lot of the similar things that I saw when he was first diagnosed, not having a lot of services out there or waiting lists and things of that nature. And me, along with other parents that have aging adults that's, aging into adulthood, is going through the same thing. So that is the gap. That's what started at me going through that process and getting him prepared for adulthood.
And with your background as a doctor, I bet it made it more of a seamless transition for you, right?
Well, actually, my background started in healthcare. I'm not a clinician. I was an accountant for many years, but also a autistic parent. And when we started the transition period for him, when he turned 14, I made a decision then, like, wow, what am I going to do? He may be at home for the rest of his life. So I started making the decision then, I think I'll go back to school and maybe I'll start teaching. So in the event that if he's home, at least I'm home and we can do stuff. So it started off by me deciding I'm going to start a community for autistic adults for them to stay. That was the initial plan. But when I went back to school to get my doctorate in public health, a lot of the projects that I did was around autism. And I started meeting more and more people, not only just here in Georgia, but in the state and abroad, that was having the same issues. And that was those transition services, when their kids start into adulthood. Workforce development was a big one. And that was one of my projects. So as I went through the program at school, my vision just started evolving more and more, which brought me to Auturity today. So it started from starting an independent community to where we are today.
You had mentioned that your son, you started to look into transitioning when he was about 14, the legal transition. What does that look like? And what do parents need to know about legally transitioning their child?
Right. It's scary actually, because you don't know what you don't know. But the school system, if a lot of the school systems, some of them are a little lacking. Um, preferably I'm in a good location where they start the transition period around 14, and that's the standard age for the state of Georgia. And what that looks like is, working on your IEP, having an IEP that is set up for success, making sure that they meet certain goals so that when they start aging out, that they have all the skills and everything that they need that they can start contributing to society. Now that case is going to look different for everyone because once you're on the spectrum, no one is the same. So that look different for everyone. However, with Coy, he is some verbal, but not. He's sort of nonverbal, meaning he couldn't live on his own. Like he can't articulate things on his own, so he's gonna always need a parent. So starting at age 14, it was more the academics and the vocational things that we were gonna do. But it wasn't until he turned 18 when the real, legal stuff started. Age it's age 18 in the state of Georgia where you start with the guardianship process. That is a daunting and scary process in that your young adult basically is giving up their rights, giving someone else their rights to speak on their behalf. It involves getting an attorney. It involves getting psych evaluation. You get tons of those in school, but going outside of the school system through the courts, it's court required to get that done, and then going through the court system. So it's a daunting process. but it's necessary.
And that kind of aligns itself with medical transitioning too, coming off the Katie Beckett going on the now comp. Does authority help folks with that?
It does help with that. And we like to start with ages 14 to make sure that they have all the steps aligned. Because what I found once I went through that guardianship process, it makes the whole process with Social Security, the now comp waiver. It makes all of that process look easier because when you start with the guardianship, they take you a little bit more seriously. Okay, they've done this, they got all this in step, and all of these steps, um, proceedings done through the courts. So now it's time. It's less work for them to do. Yes, Social Security to do. They pull all of the information, and then once you're applying for the non-comp waiver, that's one of the requirements that they ask for. Have you applied for Social Security disability? Where are you with that in that process? So it all kind of works hand in hand. So we like to start at an early age to make sure that all the steps are in place so that when you get there, it's already a daunting process, but you already have all the steps in place. That's where we like to start, but we have some young adults that's already past high school that have caregivers, not necessarily mom and dads, but they could be grandparents or they can be adopted parents, that don't know the process and they're picking up the process. So we help from that age group all the way up. Yes.
Sitting with me today, Dr. Angela Mixon, the founder and CEO of Auturity, a fairly new organization here in Atlanta. But we're going to ask the hard questions because something every parent wants to know about is gainful employment and independent living. Stay with me.
Life with the Spectrum would like to thank our friends at Don's Tree Service. Mention that you heard it here and get 10% off. 770-413-TREE. If you'd like to have your business name here, reach us at gcast.com.
Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli, and with me today, Dr. Angela Mixon, the founder and CEO of a relatively new organization here in Atlanta called Auturity. And they help with all different kinds of, medical transitions, legal transitions. But I think for the most part, if you're like me as a mom, the biggest things that I'm worried about now are what is Lear going to do for work and where is he going to live? Because being on the spectrum means different, not less. And our kiddos deserve to go to work. They need gainful employment, and they also need a place to live. So, Dr. Angela, how does Auturity help with that?
Well, it's several steps that we take. We have part of my process when I started, I did a capstone project where I worked with employees within the state of Georgia. And it basically was an educational intervention, letting the employers know the capabilities of those that's on the spectrum. We looked at the unemployment rates, which are, outrageous, and they have the capabilities. They've graduated from high school. Many have post secondary education and are capable of work. Yeah, capable to work, but employers don't know those capabilities or they don't know how to support those that's on the spectrum in the workplace or even how to hire. Of course, though, what that looks like for you and I would be different for them. And the intervention that I did basically gave employees the steps. This is what needs to be done. Or there's organizations out there that can make you autism friendly or have workforce development plans to help you start hiring those that's on the spectrum. So that was very successful in that we had several employers and some major employers that want to bring on autistic workers but don't know how. So our charity is building on that, work with employers, and we have our program that's called Autism Unity in the Community, where we go to different counties within the state and we seek out these employers, local employers, say, hey, do you have a workforce development plan that's inclusive of autism workers? If not, are you willing to do that? So we'll go in, work with those employers, and many of those employers will come out to our social events, with the resource, hey, we want to hire. We're beginning to work with Georgia Vocational
Sure.
Rehab as well as a program to help, autistics get jobs. So, like I said, it's new, it's growing. We're partnering with different organizations to help us get to that step. Our charity has grown very fast, very quickly. We debuted in September during the autism walk. And it's surprising that a lot of parents came up and said, we're leaving the state because there's no services. There was nothing like this here before. So we're very, very overwhelmed with the calls that we're getting, emails that we're getting, probably more overwhelmed than the partnerships and the organizations that we have that's coming in. But that's definitely something that's on our list. We like the medical transitions, which you mentioned, workforce transitions, like you mentioned, legal transitions. Right. And that really helps with those that, from the 14 and up. When
And then educational advocacy.
Right. And that really helps with those that, from the 14 and up, when you have caregivers that don't know how to articulate IEPs or don't know how to, or you have, um, I don't want to say school systems as if they're not equipped, but we have some that's not as equipped as other schools. And having advocates that go in there and advocate for your student to make sure that they have an IEP that sets them up for success. So once they come out of high school, then they can move on to the next step without. It's like I said, it's a daunting process to begin with, but with all of the things that they can avoid, they can do that by having the advocacy in place for that. Um, as far as the legal transition as well. Um, as far as independent living, we work with the different counties and we basically look for group homes. We basically look for people that's willing to bring autistic adults wherever they are in as tenants, group homes that's looking, to fill vacancies. There's not a lot. I work.
There is. I'm so excited. There's one being built in Forsyth
It is.
County, and I think all parents are like,
Absolutely.
woohoo, it's time to
So,
put our kids on the wait
absolutely.
list. Is it too early to do that?
You took that out of my mouth. There is one being built in Forsyth County, and there are some like closer to Bibb County, Macon. Like we service all of the counties, but still not enough. There's waiting lists, and there's not enough, which is where Auturity comes in. Eventually, we will have a community that we're building. That is one of the ultimate goals. But we do work with these before we have our autism unity in the community events. We reach out to all of these different counties. This is before we decide where the next event is going to be to see what those resources are and have those available to parents and caregivers as they come out.
Sitting with me today, Dr. Angela Mixon, the founder and CEO of Auturity. When we get back, we're going to find out the great things that are ahead in 2024 for Auturity. Stay with me.
I'm Lyra Gillenwaters. Thanks for checking out this episode of Life with the Spectrum. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll always see the newest episodes when they come out.
Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli, and with me today, the lovely Dr. Angela Mixon, the founder and CEO of Auturity, a fairly new organization here in Atlanta, but you're making huge strides too. And I can't wait to hear what's on deck in 2024. You already mentioned autism in the community. What kinds of fundraisers and galas do you have also coming up?
Well, Autism Unity in the Community is our social program. One of the things that parents, in addition to workforce and independent living, was social events. They'll have nothing for their adults to do. They're at home sitting on the sofa watching TV or whatever. So, in addition to taking calls into the office, doing intake, we do this monthly event in different counties within the state called Autism Unity in the Community. So that's a monthly event. But we have two big events that's coming up next year in lieu of galas. They are fundraiser events that I'm really, really excited about. And it's still the focus of a social event, but the first event is going to be March 30th, actually. And it's Aquatic Paradise. It's a blue carpet prom event for autistic adults that's going to be held at the Georgia Aquarium. So I'm very, very excited.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm very excited about that event that's coming up. And then in September 28th, actually, it represents our 1 year anniversary. But we're also having another fundraiser, which is called Atlanta Autism Fashion Night. So we have Atlanta Fashion Week. That's the week of October the 9th through October the 3rd through the 4th for Atlanta. Well, we're going to have an autism fashion week. It's a fashion night as well. And it's a fashion show where we're going to have only autistic models and they'll be
I
modeling
love it.
some of the latest, fashions around. And we're going to be at the Savannah Hall at Zoo Atlanta. So the Savannah Hall, I'm really, really excited about this because it's like the African savannah. So you have all of the
Mm-hmm.
exotic animals there, the giraffes, the elephants, and things like that. And the Savannah Hall overlooks that. So
It sure does.
we have a pre function um, event that's going on for all of our vendors and all of our sponsors that's coming out, and then a big fashion show. So we have two major events that I'm super super excited about.
Can people find these events on the Auturity website right now?
Yes, they can. So if you go to the Charity website, there is a donate button,
Which is what?
which is auturity.life, and Auturity is AUTURITY.life, LIFE. You can see a lot of things that we have going on. We'll have save the dates available, but you can also click the donate button, and that takes you to our fundraiser platform, which is Give Butter, and all of our different campaigns are out there. So you'll see Autism Unity in the Community. You'll see the Aquatic Paradise Blue Palm event,
That's going to be so much
and
fun.
you're going to see the Atlanta Autism Fashion Night there as well.
Auturity.life. Dr. Angela Mixon, thank you so much for being on the show. First off, thanks for being a force for good and starting this great organization on behalf of your son and making big strides in the world of autism. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me here. I'm super excited about this, getting our name out there as we grow and helping the autism community abroad, not just in the state of Georgia, but abroad as we move forward.
We have to wait till March to go under the sea, but we can grab our tickets now right there off of auturity.life. And then I'm excited for Fashion Show Week to see our young adults, rocking the runway. I love this. And I love what Auturity is standing for, helping families get through the medical transitions, the legal transitions, educational advocacy, and then gainful employment and independent living. If any of this at any point in your journey of a disability applies to you and you're like, oh, where do I go? What do I do? Think of Auturity and go to auturity.life. Thank you so much for checking into Life with the Spectrum week after week. I'm getting some amazing guests that are really making big moves in the world of disability. And so it's really wonderful to give them a spotlight. And if you know somebody who's making a big move in your area in the world of disabilities, please connect with me. Like, comment, share below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And you can always reach out through gcast.com. That's GKASTS.com. As we continue to live this crazy journey called life, I appreciate you checking in to Life with the Spectrum. See ya.
Bye.